China's generals slipping into Russia as the Ukraine war raged. What followed was no diplomatic formality, but a covert pipeline of weapons, aircraft, and combat know-how. Leaked manifests, surveillance logs, and secret contracts now expose a deepening military axis Beijing never meant the world to see. Chinese military delegations quietly arrived in Russia throughout the war in Ukraine, following a covert pattern. In a revealing investigation, the Kyiv Independent reported that Beijing is pursuing an extensive procurement program, ranging from armored vehicles to aircraft, despite international sanctions on Russia's defense sector. According to documents cited by the Kyiv Independent, the first significant request came on April 7, 2022, just weeks after Russia's full-scale invasion. Beijing, under request number ZH 2022-Y53, asked Moscow to supply a package of weapons and airborne vehicles for the PLA-borne Corps, a force China has been intensifying as it prepares for potential contingencies around Taiwan. Within 3 weeks, Russia's Federal Service for Military Technical Cooperation reportedly ordered Roseburn Export to arrange a private demonstration of air-droppable combat vehicles for a Chinese delegation. Preparations began immediately. The delegation ultimately arrived in April 2023, marking the first in a string of secretive visits that would lead to millions of dollars in military contracts. Those missions expanded. Through 2023 and 2024, Chinese delegations, many consisting of senior officers serving under China's powerful Central Military Commission, were repeatedly flown into Moscow, Ryazan, Ulyanovsk, and other industrial hubs. Using leaked Rostec documents, flight manifests, customs filings, and facial recognition analysis, the Kyiv Independent identified a network of senior Chinese officers and state-owned arms officials involved in the negotiations. Among them, Major General Fan Jianjun, a top procurement official within China's Central Military Commission, photographed in Moscow in August 2023 while showcasing Chinese weapons models to then Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. None of Russia's state media outlets identified him at the time. 2 other officers, Senior Colonel Xiang Guangqiang and Colonel Xu Hongguang, were confirmed through airport filings and industry visit logs. Both served within the PLA Airborne Corps, an elite formation Beijing has been modernizing as part of its long-term pressure campaign around Taiwan. In total, 40 Chinese military personnel and arms industry representatives secretly traveled to Russia during the war to negotiate equipment purchases. These were not ceremonial exchanges. These were procurement missions, often conducted under heavy FSB security, with phones confiscated and documentation controlled. The Kyiv Independent cited one expert conclusion from Harvard Business School's Daniel Fu, who, after reviewing the documents, stated,
"It shows the world that Russia has a true, tremendous friend in Beijing."
The deeper investigators went, the clearer the pattern became. This wasn't ceremonial diplomacy, it was a pipeline. Much of the covert activity centered on aircraft. According to the Post investigation, in March 2023, Chinese officers inspected an aging Il-76 TD transport aircraft in Ryazan. The visit was confirmed by leaked records and by Russian flight data disclosed years earlier in a separate cyber attack. Although the aircraft was never sold, the trip opened the door to discussions about more advanced models. The turning point came a month later, when another Chinese delegation inspected an Il-78M 90A refueling aircraft, the first of its kind produced in Russia. According to leaked negotiation minutes, this visit directly preceded a contract dated November 8, 2023. under which China sought to buy modernized Il-78 Mk-90A tankers capable of airdropping armored vehicles. Russian customs records reviewed by the Kyiv Independent further show that in April 2024, a Vertex subsidiary exported technical documentation for the Il-78 to China's Central Military Commission. By then, China had also asked Moscow to dispatch specialists to examine 10 Chinese-owned Il-76MD aircraft and prepare them for compatibility with Russian airborne vehicles. But Beijing's ambitions stretched beyond aircraft. Throughout 2023, Chinese delegations inspected Russian armored vehicles, training systems, and parachute technologies. In August 2023, following a series of visits to Russian manufacturers, both sides agreed on a sweeping procurement package. According to a leaked draft contract dated October 15, 2024, China ordered 37 airborne infantry fighting vehicles, 11 anti-tank guns, 11 armored personnel carriers, 4 command vehicles, parachute systems and airdrop equipment, ammunition and gear for paratroopers. The contract's estimated value, $585 million, payable in stages beginning in 2025. Additional provisions covered Russian training for Chinese pilots, paratroopers, and engineers, conducted in both Russia and China. The document included a clear requirement.
All units and assemblies must be new, not previously used. The year of manufacture of the main units and assemblies must not be earlier than 2024.
Ukrainian weapons analyst Ivan Kirachevsky, while describing Russia's capacity to supply the systems, said,
While there may be reasonable doubts about Russia's ability to supply Il-78s to China during its war with Ukraine, in the case of the armored fighting vehicles, unfortunately, there is no doubt Russia is capable of supplying them.
These timelines, stretching to 2027, mirror assessments by US defense officials who believe the PLA may reach higher readiness for a Taiwan contingency within the same window. But analysts caution against assuming China has set a fixed deadline. Harvard researcher Daniel Fu notes,
It's not necessarily a deadline for invasion. I think China's main deadline for Taiwan unification, or reunification as they call it, is 2049. In the coming years, the priority of PRC leader Xi Jinping will be to stabilize the economy, which is currently facing numerous challenges related to demographics, the real estate sector, and supply chain bottlenecks.
The leaked documents reveal a strategic convergence built on shared needs. For China, the partnership delivers battlefield-tested Russian technology at a time when Beijing seeks to modernize its airborne core.
The PRC aims to gain practical combat experience by learning from Russian paratroopers, since Chinese airborne forces currently lack such experience. By obtaining Russian equipment, China can also study foreign technology and integrate it into its domestic production.
For Russia, the cooperation provides a crucial economic bridge.
For Russia, these agreements provide a source of external funding for its state-owned arms manufacturers, which have been dealing with international sanctions and a decline in export orders. Additionally, these contracts secure continued political support from China, propping up the Kremlin geopolitical influence.
This military pipeline also sits atop a broader web of cooperation. The Wall Street Journal revealed in 2023 that Chinese firms had shipped aircraft parts and rifles to Russian military-linked companies. Politico reported in 2024 that Chinese ammunition had entered Russia through third countries. Despite growing evidence of China's support for Moscow's war machine, US officials, according to sanctions specialist Agia Zagrebelska, have publicly limited their response.
There are still options on the table for responding to such Russian-Chinese arms agreements, as China is concerned about potential sanctions on its banks. The US administration is unlikely to be ready for drastic moves at the moment.
What these leaks expose is no isolated arms deal, but a widening military axis. Quiet, calculated, and years in the making. As Beijing and Moscow deepen their covert pipeline, the world is left confronting a partnership reshaping the balance of power far beyond Ukraine.